Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands. Welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Svain titled Urartu Inferno. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. There is a lot of people involved in this. We've got recording, mix and mastering at Crooked Driver Studios, producer, engineer with all core session instruments played and arranged by Spencer Hawk, orchestral design arrangement Jordan Grigg, cello Daniel Gonzalez, composition Amon Narazarians, Svain, with lyrics and vocals on Svain as well, featured opera backup vocals from Elian Blanco, and kinetic lyric typography by Shame from Fiverr. So we've got a lot of people involved in this track, but it should be good. And we're going to listen through this track from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go.
Was I a mistake? Come and take this weight away. I'm sinking down.
Really somber at the beginning with his guitars and vocals, eh?
If you are here for me, and I'll pull this world into my oblivion.
And it's just that instant transition there. Well, not instant, there's a little break, just to kind of allow to be sort of like a pregnant pause, and then bam, with the drums, the growled vocals. It's incredibly powerful. And double time. It's just a really slick transition to a new groove with a new riff. It's not just the fact that the vocal performance is quite tight with the cleans at the start and the growls throughout the verse, it's also the fact that the guitarist, bass and drums are really kind of clinical to that as well. There's great sort of, everything's quite well in sync. How it just soars up there with the harmonized guitars is beautiful. I mean, it's vocal focused, but there's just a lot of interesting stuff happening in the background. Great transition on the high end there. Don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear that the bass guitar is also doing arpeggios, kind of like the guitars on the sides? Great sense of unison, man. That's a really pretty harmony that's formed there with those elements. We'll use the sound design there to put the vocals on the sides. And a really thorough breakdown to boot. I mean, it's palpable, isn't it? The force and pressure behind it. And that entrance was really satisfying. Things held a little bit into mid to highs, then slapped it in with a kick that wasn't too overpowering, but just really well handled. I mean, it just stops here. Or it sounds like it stops here. Oh, it does stop here. When it just finishes it, the song goes so quickly. You feel as if you're being taken on this journey, and it's very octane for a lot of it. Even when the breakdown just kind of thuds and kind of shudders along there with the force of that sub bass, with the dissonant kind of flat second intervals on the side, you're like, it still feels like you're going towards an uncomfortable solution, and I think it's well handled overall. But we're going to talk about that more in the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Svain, titled Urartu Inferno. Now, I think this track was really well done. I think I gave this an overall score of 8.11 as per the little score system I've got down here. I rank these tracks on 9 different factors that I think are important. It's good to make sure that when you're releasing a track, you kind of nail the main sort of key areas down so that the track is functional and you don't have any weak points. And I don't think there are any weak points in the song, but sort of further along on that. Effectively, I think that the story of the song it's about someone who has had a terrible time initially. They're kind of coping with the punishment or whatever the bad hand they've been dealt. And as we go through the track, we realize, hey, this person isn't going to go down without swinging. You know, they're not going to go down without a fight. So we have the situation where someone is talking about burying you with them. They talk about reaching up to the cosmos and stuff like that and raining hellfire down on people. So, like, you know that things are about to get incredibly savage. Again, that inferno there. I think that story is just fascinating. It kind of makes you wonder what got that person to that position in the first place. I think a lot of people listening to this will become sort of invested in the story that's being told. Ultimately, I think by that virtue alone is very impressive. I haven't heard a lot of stories like that in music, so I kind of enjoy that. There's that kind of spiritual element there with like the bells tolling for thee as well as the choirs and stuff. But if we focus on the main vocalist just for a little bit, I thought that it was utterly tremendous. Having, again, a singer that can do the clean vocals like in the start and the chorus sections, the growl parts in the verses and such. And just, you know, it's just really great to be able to switch between those, not only to have them separate, but also to be able to handle them when they're together or sort of call and responding. We showed a great understanding of vocal technique with the head and chest voice there. We stayed with a fairly comfortable vocal range for the most part. I think we stayed within an octave or two at most. But that was fine because we found a niche within the frequency spectrum where we didn't interfere too much with a lot of the other instruments that were going on, because the track was quite colorful when it wasn't kind of chugs and power chords, and I really appreciate that. The growls, if you really can't afford to screw the technique for vocal fry and stuff up, if you do that, you're not going to be able to do it for that long. And I can hear this guy sort of doing it, and the way that he entered after that first little intro section, it was very convincing. It was very impressive control of the voice and the chords and stuff like that, vocal chords. So I wish them the best of luck in their career, because they've definitely got the pipes for it. and it's great to have the vocals kind of meet, like, in the intro, it sounded like the singer was kind of coming to terms with what had occurred, wondering if they'd just been, like, if they deserved it or not. And then when they say that they were going to be, later on in that heavier part, when they talked about the people going to be buried with them, the growling kind of infers a sense of fury and a lust for revenge or something like that. And I think that vocal style works well. So there's a nice connection between those elements. They make sense. The track at 5 minutes 13 is well sort of fleshed out. Again, we have that 30-second intro section going into verses. We have a range of different, well, not necessarily, we don't just have the same kind of groove the entire time. We have variations of like sort of triplet note kind of ride kick flip grooves with like string skip parts. We have tremolo parts with like 32nd, 64th note kind of kick drums there. Half-time chorus sections where it's more like a waltz than anything else with arpeggiated broken chord guitar and bass parts with kind of really kind of swirling elegant guitar leads on top. We have thunderous, like a deafening sort of bass drop that breakdown sessions where like it floors you with how heavy it is in that low range. And I'm not saying it because I feel the need to be nice. It was legitimately impressive how much power it did have. It was a great contrast to some of the floaty elements we had before that. And just for things to as well to just come back down occasionally, to not have things as loud, to provide a sense of dynamic range in the mix is really impressive, because that's also a compositional thing. Understanding like before the the initial 30-second intro to have a break, then boof kicks and everything like that. You instantiate a different mood, a different vibe. You give a listener time to appreciate the first before they get to taste the second. And ultimately, if I just if we accept that the structure of the song is invigorating and really well handled, it's basically just talking about the different instruments that I enjoyed. I think the three for me are like the guitar, bass, and the drums. The bass primarily because of how well it copes with the root notes in a lot of the sections, but then again in that chorus section it kind of do-do-do-do-do-do-bom. It kind of goes up and down its fretboard to match the triads that we have in the chord progressions. And I like the fact that we're kind of extending the triplet groove more so in that rhythm section than what we might typically have, which is to just again flow with that root. It's a nice contrast to the rest. It stands out, makes the track more interesting, and that's sort of respect. The guitar parts are wonderful. I like the fact that we have a sense of dissonance with some of those arpeggiated guitars in that same chorus, despite it sounding wonderful. It was very pretty sounding. There was a kind of a how do I describe it? A dustiness to the tone there that made it seem like the Inferno had necessarily had passed, or things are going to be sort of caught on fire. It was kind of spicy at times. But we also kind of softened it with some reverb and stuff in the leads to kind of make it a bit more sort of like, smooth and sort of neoclassical, and kind of reminded me a lot of the metal I heard in the mid-2000s. I think we had a wide range of different riffs and chops in there that showed the technicality and proficiency of the player on the instrument. Nice sense of unison tightness with the bass parts. And if I talk about the drums for a sec, the wide variety of different grooves and tom fills and stuff we had, as well as the different shifts between the cymbals and the hi-hats and the crashes, the thorough exploration of the kit, combined with the different sort of normal time, half-time, and double time and half-time bits. It's just wonderful to be able to go between those, kind of attribute a section to a type of speed or pace there to and seamlessly transition between them in a way which is just almost, basically meticulous. The main theme overall was really gorgeous, and it was like catchy, but it was also in a way where I didn't think we were trying to be too poppy with it. I think that was a smart idea, primarily because I think that with a lot of the kind of edginess, not in a derogatory way, but with a lot of the kind of the danger, should I say, in the tones of the vocals, the slightly uncomfortable sort of guitar concepts and stuff like that we have otherwise, the brutality of that breakdown, going too kind of clean and pretty and sort of snazzy with it might not have necessarily been like a smart idea. I think that we did enough to make a compelling hook line the whole time through. I think I gave the hook line, or the main theme, an 8 out of 10 because it was really sort of stellar. I'm wondering if we could have potentially changed things up a little. Well, no, to be fair, we did have the choir in that last theme, so I'm going to give that I'm still going to give it an 8. I mean, an 8 out of 10 being quite a high score at the end of the day. If you get an 8 out of 10, it's a great song. But the understanding, of course, is that these point rankings are objective, but 8 out of 10 is very high in regards to a lot of the stuff that I sort of rank and review. I think that the main theme with the backing communicated, I think, a lot of what we were trying to do with the vocal takes and everything like that. I like the way that the vocals were in melodic unison or sequence with what was going on with those guitar and bass parts there. Having that kind of guitar lead on top again kind of was very satisfying whenever that came in the second half of each, and having the choir on the last time of the hook really kind of it made it a bigger, more different and more impressive sort of like third time round where we didn't take the listener's attention for granted. Having that extra little bit of spice in that high end made it seem bigger and kind of like made it seem epic, I suppose, for lack of a better word. It made it seem like this was the big finish and we didn't know what was necessarily going to happen next, but something huge was about to occur. And given the fact that we're about to have an Inferno and everyone involved, I think that makes sense. So ultimately, I think the theme was well handled, and I don't think there was a note out of place with the performance. It was stellar. Finally, the studio recording, mixing and mastering, I thought it was excellent. You know, we had a great sense of clarity to the tone of the vocals and the guitars and bass and drums and everything else. The choirs were well handled in the mix. Things seem nicely glued together. Things are nice and wide in the stereo fields on the frequency spectrum with very little kind of to no resonant frequencies there. If there were, that was a natural thing because of the fact that the product, you want that sub bass resonance to just kind of sink through there and kind of meld things further. It was nice to have that heaviness in the breakdown as a contrast to some of the other kind of lighter parts of the mix. We really needed things to kind of weigh the listener down. The message needed to be heavy, you know? But again, there was dynamic range and things were nice and loud without pumping, so I don't think there's a note out of place. But effectively, this is my review of this track from an act named Svain, titled Urartu Inferno. And I think it's a fantastic first impression. It's definitely a step in the right direction if this is stuff they want to sort of like look more into. But hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go check out the various social medias and YouTube page and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time. And see the help more than ever with the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.